Commander Reve's grand plan is in place, and everything that is currently taking place is going according to plan. Yubel is fighting routine with a giant obstacle in her way that she can't just real sight in. Megane is fighting against Iris, who is aware of his clone ability and is in a fight against a war of attrition, in which he will lose. And then there's Falsh. He's kinda screwed unless Frieren's party comes to the rescue. Sadly, when Serie opened up Yamada Kanehito's script for the week, it said, health is wealth. It's going to be many more weeks of the great mage Serie. Ashi no Megami. Looks like the feet goddess is going to continue suffering looking like this for many more weeks or even months to come, as our brilliant creators in Yamada Kanehito and Abe Tsukasa take some more time to get some rest, like that one time Frieren and Frieren got really sick. This is a chapter that reveals Commander Reve's backstory and his motivations of why he wants to extinguish magic completely. Then there's this servant who looks like LRA, meaning teacher in German, who we find out is the strongest warrior of the Southern Lands. All this is like a collision of different legacies passed down between Flamme's gift to the world of magic and Himmel the hero's legacy of saving the world. These two legacies are trying to find a happy medium to coexist, except Commander Louv's and whoever else he is working with wants Flamme's legacy to flame out. I will dive more into this kind of thing in my next video. But back to the main plot. Are the clues of this clairvoyant person that beat Serie being from the Southern Lands this straightforward of it being Commander Rev and the warrior from the Southern Lands? Currently, all evidence points to yes, as the one guy that we know that was clairvoyant was from the Southern Lands in the Hero of the South, meaning the physical features that look like the Hero of the South points to LRA and Rev. At least that is what Yamada Kanehito wants us to think. With the newest release of chapter 147, The Land with No Hero, and the previous one in chapter 146, I think the story is a lot more straightforward than what many fan theories have been going on about. But there is plenty of room for misdirection and surprises. The story is still trending in a linear path, revealing one straightforward clue right after another, until our expectations get subverted. Commander Louvre will be the main or one of the main guys that helps yeet Serie. If LRA is currently Commander Reve's servant, he becomes that obvious missing piece. It's not too far-fetched to see this really old guy gain the upper hand on someone like Frieren. That was literally our first introduction to the Shadow Warriors. One really old Shadow Warrior really almost yeeted the Frieren story from existence. This is a chapter that helps lead us into some answers for some of our major questions, like the motive behind ending all magic and who the clairvoyant person may be. But at the same time, there is still a ton of context needed for it to make complete sense, as the inspiration behind all this ends up being none other than Himmel the hero. I'll go further in depth for the philosophical and exploration for different theories that spawn from this chapter in the follow-up video. So this chapter opens up with Commander Rev and his servant acknowledging that everything is going according to plan. It's safe to assume that at the very least, they are working with the clairvoyant person that may be even more accurate than Serie's prophetic dreams. Given how confident Commander Rev is, the page proceeds to show us everything that is currently going on and how all of that is still going to lead them into reading Serie. This is where Commander Rev and his servant break out into a backstory as they look upon the evening star, in which it reminds Rev of his hometown of the Southern Lands. Held. The servant drops some bombs like Commander Rev's real name is Held, and that is his master. Held, meaning hero in German, is kind of agitated and doesn't want him to call him by his real name, but his master clearly understands that it's highly possible that they still will get yeeted and tonight may be their final night. And that right there makes me question if any of them are the clairvoyant person. Maybe their clairvoyance isn't necessarily perfect, as only one person's prediction happened as they predicted. In the Hero of the South, being the shadow warrior he is, Helt much rather go by the Governor General of the Lord Beard domain, with the old man as his servant. Unlike the legendary Himmel the hero, who represents the inspiration of his great deeds, Rev wants their achievements to never be recorded. This is where he goes on further to drop more major bombs that both humanity and demons will lose their mana. The laws of the world, rewritten in the time of myth, shall return to how they once were. These two panels answer some major questions and may tie into why they may not only want to yeet Serie, but they may need to yeet Serie to end magic. It's clear now that Commander Rev's intention is to get rid of magic. That includes demons, which is a very important distinction. That includes them. This takes out the possibility that demons are directly working with the Shadow Warriors, at least not that Rev is aware of. As you guys are probably thinking, this is clearly a spot where our expectations can be subverted, as it can tie into characters like Schlatt, Grossum, and the Hero of the South fight against all 7 of the Demon Sages. When Rev brings up the laws of the world rewritten in the time of myth shall return to how they once were, if you guys have been following my videos, you know exactly where I'm going with this. During the Goddess Monument arc in chapter 116, Solitaire brings up the theory of irreversibility. Time cannot be reversed. However, divine force literally makes it possible, bending time by will. Even Flamme studied the theory of irreversibility. In another video, I will deeper dive into what the theory of irreversibility may mean, and how it connects from Mach to Frieren, and what occurred in the Goddess Monument arc, and how Commander Rev will achieve something similar to how Frieren was able to time travel. It looks like Commander Rev is going to somehow will his way with the Goddess of all creation's help in reverting the world back to a time where magic was not available to them. This is something I would love to explore in the next video as well. But to put it simply, if the Goddess of all creation allows time traveling to alter history, surely she can take back the blessings of magic. This is where we get a deep, rich history of Rev's past, of how he came to blame magic for all the Southern Land's destruction. His first memory of magic is his brother literally getting yeeted by a stray spell. One little itty bitty ray of light yeeted his brother while he was trying to protect them. He goes on to explain how the Southern Land's dynamic differ from those in the North. We know that the Demon King resided in the northernmost part of the land, near Inde, meaning that demon influences didn't affect the Southern Lands as much due to proximity. Meaning, all the fighting in the Southern Lands were mostly between other humans. Remember this line of Lowe's, because this is the conceptual metaphor that he operates on as to why he wants to eliminate magic. Because to him, magic was a weapon. Magic is a weapon. The second time Louvre or Helt experienced magic, it was a devastating one. Helt's entire hometown was no more, and so was his parents. What makes it even more terrifying is the fact that his hometown was blown away as collateral damage from the nuke-like explosion. Humans in the Southern Lands that use magic for war looks like it might be in the hands of the great mage Minas the Witches. This actually provides a semblance of insight of when Minas started to go on a rampage. Is it possible that Minas was simply punishing the humans that kept using magic to yeet each other? This makes Minas's role in being named a witch all the more fascinating, because one does not simply just mass yeet people for nothing without a motive. Or really, she could just be a Serie-like character that really just wanted to test out her powers. Now, this all eventually ties back to the world's greatest known hero in Himmel. It is the statue and what it represented that eventually led Helt to meet his master LRA. Even though it didn't truly matter to do so, to lift the statue back up after everyone is like yeeted, Helt believed that the hero that brought peace to the world didn't deserve to remain on the ground. With LRA showing up too late before the destruction took place, he told young Hilt to blame him and that he wouldn't ask for forgiveness. Interestingly enough, Hilt was a lot wiser than his age to tell his future master, a friend of his father's, that he didn't do anything wrong because he was likely already helping other people. He even empathizes with the fact that the pain, the regret, and the frustration that he feels, LRA likely feels the same way. This is some emotional intelligence, and it feels like it's Yubel's ability here. Although LRA was the strongest warrior in the Southern Lands, he had one weakness: being absent. He can't be everywhere at once, so it makes it easy to avoid him as war goes on in multiple places at once. This is where the deviation of what some people may interpret Himmel the hero as. LRA brings up the hope that if he just kept on fighting, a hero would eventually show up to bring peace to the Southern Lands, but no one ever did. So in his conclusion, if he wanted peace, he had to do it himself, because that is something Himmel the hero would do, because he never gave up. That is where the chapter ends abruptly, as it becomes clear that LRA is wrong about not being able to rely on others and doing everything by himself. It also connects to the idea of why Commander Rev wants to get rid of all magic. In his mind, getting rid of magic equals peace. Magic in his mind is like a weapon of mass destruction. I think when we started the profile of Commander Rev, it made a ton of sense that he wanted to achieve peace by getting rid of magic. And now we have a backstory that pretty much supports that idea. And now we know that it includes demons. It's not like he's working for the other side as well. It at least throws out the idea that he is knowingly working with demons. Getting rid of magic doesn't necessarily mean that the world is more peaceful. And I'll just leave it at that. So with Commander Rev's backstory and his name being Hilt, we have a guy that only sees magic from a very young age as something that just yeets people, as something that is only used for means of war. Look at the magic special forces. What do they use it for? And somehow it all culminated in the great mage Minas the Witch, and whatever her intentions were for why she was going on a rampage in the Southern Lands. And then we have LRA, who ends up being the servant for Commander Rev. He wanted to be who he thinks Himmel the hero was. This is something I do want to talk about in the next video as well, so I don't want to keep going too deep into these different tangents. Plot wise, it seems like we have a even stronger case that LRA and Commander Rev are likely the clairvoyant person and the people that will end up yeeting Serie. Not saying that they ultimately will, but I'm saying the story is leading us on that path. And that is where a lot of things can be subverted. And we are now at that point in the story where we're just looking for something to surprise us. So I hope that Yamada Kanehito and Abe Tsukasa, they get their much needed rest, because their current work very inspirational, and it's a series that is very beloved, and I think it deserves all the accolades that it's been getting. So yeah guys, let me know what you guys thought about this chapter. If there's anything you guys want me to talk about in the upcoming video, let me know. Otherwise, can't wait to make the next one for the follow-up video. So yeah guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you guys haven't already, check out my blog at otakusend.com. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.